My name is Thomas Rayner, a 45-year-old retired high school history teacher, and for 15 years, I had lived a quiet, fulfilling life in Willowmere Hollow. Nestled among oak-lined streets and the soft hum of cicadas, the modest two-story house my late wife and I had bought was where I planned to grow old. Especially after her passing 3 years ago, the place became more than just a home. It became sacred ground. That front garden? It wasn't just a patch of wildflowers. It was Marion's last wish. We planted it together one spring morning when she was still strong enough to kneel beside me. She wanted butterflies to visit. She loved them, said they were messengers between worlds. That garden wasn't just flowers, it was her legacy. Enter Cynthia Prescott, a former corporate attorney in her early 40s, sharp as glass and about as warm. She became president of our HOA 6 months ago. Gone were the old-timers with a sense of neighborliness. Cynthia's board was stacked with fresh, suited professionals with backgrounds in real estate, urban development, or law. She wore her authority like armor and wielded it with cold precision. Property values build community, she said at her first meeting. Uniform aesthetics ensure stability. Her rise was quick. Within weeks, the old board members resigned, and citations began to fly. My wildflower garden got its first notice on a Tuesday morning. Cream-colored envelope, digital images attached. The violation? Unauthorized vegetation. $100 a day in fines until remediation. I met with Cynthia, showed her the certificates from the local conservation authority. Drought-resistant species, native flora, wildlife habitat designation. All of it dismissed with a wave of her hand. Mr. Rayner, she said, tablet in hand, sunglasses perfectly perched. While those certifications are admirable, Willowmere's covenant requires visual cohesion with surrounding properties. Your garden is an outlier. I told her about Marion, her final project, her hospice window facing that garden. Cynthia blinked slowly, but her face remained unmoved. Personal tragedies cannot exempt one from the rules we all agreed to. By the next week, the fine had ballooned. My modest pension, already strained by Marion's medical costs, was buckling. Then came new violations. My mailbox, the American flag, even a cobbled path leading to Marion's garden. I wasn't alone. Margaret Chu, 74, got cited for her heirloom roses. Frank Delgado, retired firefighter, for leaving his garage open. Even Rick Mason's accessibility ramp for his mother was flagged as unauthorized modification. At the next HOA meeting, the room was packed with concerned residents. Cynthia remained cool, flanked by 2 stone-faced compliance consultants. These are bylaws you all agreed to, she said. If Willowmere Hollow no longer fits your needs, perhaps relocation is best. That night, I mapped the violations. There was a pattern. An L-shaped sector of the neighborhood. Mostly older residents. Mostly those on fixed incomes. I dug deeper. County records. Property transfers. 6 homes recently sold. All to LLCs connected to the same agent. Prescott Development Group. Prescott. Couldn't be coincidence. I documented everything. Dated. Timed. Screenshots. Videos. Marion always said, truth leaves a trail. The day before my younger brother, Matthew, arrived, everything changed. Matt's a 42-year-old Navy SEAL. 25 years of service. Missions he never spoke of. He was transitioning to civilian life, and our plan was simple. A few days of rest, fishing, stories. I came home from my grandson's baseball championship to find my home sealed. Every door and window boarded up. A laminated notice stapled to the door. Property in violation. Access restricted. Covenant 8.3. Cynthia stood on my walkway, white dress pristine, clipboard in hand. This is private property. I shouted. You have no right to do this. She didn't flinch. You failed to comply. This action is allowed under Section 8.3. My medication is inside. My wife's ashes. You boarded up a man's life. Her reply was clinical. You may appeal at the next board meeting, or consider selling. Prescott Properties is prepared to make an offer. Ambush. I called the police. The officer, sympathetic but bound by paper, shook his head. It's civil. We can't breach the seal. Eduardo, my neighbor, took me in, gave me clothes, a toothbrush, called fellow vets. The next day, I sat across from Sarah Ortiz, a property rights attorney. Her face darkened as she flipped through the photos and letters. They've crossed several lines, she said, but HOAs are slow battles. I don't have time. My medication, my memories. We'll try for an emergency order. But the judge covering emergencies is Trevor Langston. He used to represent Prescott. My stomach dropped. That night, Matt arrived. Stepped out of taxi, duffel on shoulder. Saw my boarded-up home. Tommy? What the hell happened? I told him everything. He listened, then set his bag down. So let me get this straight. They illegally seized your home. Targeted old folks. And the cops can't help. I nodded. His eyes hardened. Then they're about to meet a different kind of operation. We mobilized. Matt called old teammates. Experts in digital forensics, surveillance, PR. Carlos. Donna. Even Reggie, a former CIA analyst. They set up secure comms. We started gathering evidence. Interviews. Dates. HOA patterns. Connections between Cynthia, Prescott Development, the new board. Carlos uncovered LLC overlaps. Dana retrieved Prescott's own presentation at a local university, a slideshow showing a planned retail complex on our street. Months before any violation was issued, Mike assembled a local resistance. Veterans, retirees, teachers. We weren't weak. We were experienced. Sarah filed an emergency injunction. Channel 11 ran a story titled The Battle for Willowmere. Judge Langston was replaced by Judge Whitley after media pressure. A court officer arrived and ordered the boards removed. Inside my home, left behind, a Prescott clipboard with renderings of a strip mall, dated 3 weeks before my first violation. The HOA scheduled an emergency meeting. Wednesday night, the rec center overflowed. Cameras, neighbors, blue ribbons in solidarity. Cynthia arrived with James Prescott, her husband. We're addressing misconceptions, she said. Matt stood. I'm Commander Mechu Reinev. 25 years seal. My brother's house was illegally boarded while he took his grandson for ice cream. This wasn't enforcement. It was a hostile acquisition. He presented the footage, the slideshow, the violations. Then Sarah displayed the Prescott clipboard. They didn't just plan to take his home. They designed what would replace it before they even cited him. Margaret Chu stood, shaky but proud. My husband built our porch in 1968. You called it unsafe. You fined me. You called my garden a weed bed. You tried to erase my life. But we're still here. Together. The room stood in ovation. A vote was called. Cynthia and her board were removed. Harold Dunham, retired Air Force, became interim president. First order of business? Nullify all citations. Initiate audit. Freeze Prescott contracts. Media storm followed. State AG launched a full investigation. Prescott Development suspended all Willowmere plans. Fines were refunded to homeowners. Weeks later, neighbors gathered to rebuild my garden. Margaret brought roses. Eduardo repaired my fence. Tom Mason installed solar lights. We called it Claire's Garden. Matt helped set up the Willowmere Defense Network. Train neighbors in legal rights. De-escalation. Documentation. We weren't just neighbors anymore. We were guardians. HOA laws changed statewide after our case. Language added to protect elderly homeowners, veteran modifications, and environmentally beneficial landscaping. Months passed. The butterflies returned, just like Marion hoped. I often sit there now, watching them flit between blossoms. A reminder that justice sometimes comes on quiet wings. And if you're facing something like we did, remember this. Document everything. Stand together. And never, ever assume the quiet ones won't fight back. Because sometimes the most powerful resistance starts with a garden full of butterflies.